So here we have the Air Jordan 3, and this is the black cement colorway. And this is a sneaker that I've been looking forward to all year. And my first introduction into Jordans was the Jordan 4, which I got for my birthday when I was around, I suppose, 11 years old. And this particular sneaker is also, when I sort of found out after, looking through Jordan's legacy in the sort of early 90s, that's when I sort of found out, these existed as well. Because I didn't have the internet back then. And they were originally released in 1987, so it's one of those sneakers that is really old. And it was designed by Tinker Hatfield and obviously worn by Michael Jordan, and it's iconic for that reason, and probably the most, I suppose, known silhouette for Michael Jordan in terms of his early career. And it was also a debut of the elephant print pattern, so the pattern that you see on here was, I suppose, one of those sort of patterns that were used and quite sort of forward thinking at the time. So with the details, it comes in a black, fire red, cement grey colourway, and this has a polyurethane sole with an airbag unit in the heel and also in the forefoot, so you can see that here. And this feels quite, I suppose, soft and squishy in terms of the outside EVA, sort of heel area. So I found that the level of softness on the midsole area seems to be quite sort of squishy, not like majorly so, like not compared to today's standard, but still, quite soft. And these have all leather upper material, so you can see that here, and even this here being printed is still kind of a leather, maybe going towards the nubuck. And the price for these are £190, which is about $220. So with the comfort and sizing, they're on the medium side in my opinion. They're verging on towards the firm, but I think there's enough sort of cushioning in there and sort of softness to make it kind of more, I suppose, neutral for your foot. And that's why I always sort of say with like Jordan 3s, they're probably one of the most comfortable of Jordan sneakers in my opinion. And then it's some of the later models. But as a kind of everyday use sort of sneaker, almost looks like boot-like as well. And I think serves well for pretty much wearing every day, any day. And they also have, for a basketball sneaker, you can sort of see it's got arch support from the insole itself, so it's kind of sort of contoured slightly to your foot, which is nice, and like I said, feels fine. And I would also say the airbag unit, because it's in the heel, there's also one in the forefoot. You get slightly, it feels slightly elevated, but that's sort of typical for most basketball shoes. And I think the wearing time for these is about 2 to 5 hours. I have like two different pairs. I have like the fire red pair as well, which I really love, and big fan of those. And then also have the white cements, and these are the later models, same as this one, and they have the same shape. And I found all of them to be very sort of comfortable and easy to wear on foot. And I would say, like with Jordan 3s, probably go down to a half size or even true to size. I think with the newer models, I think true to size pretty much works for everyone, and that's kind of what I recommend. I have a wide foot, and I usually find with Jordan 3s going true to size for me works. So, but for some people, maybe potentially go down half size. And I think this has really great grip. So I've never had any issues wearing Jordan 3s, and because they sit quite flat to the ground, that's one of the reasons. But the outsole, it's not like a major, I suppose, has sort of really contoured and grooves of the traction pattern itself, but it just seems to work well, like I said, because it sits quite sort of flat and low to the ground. So with the look and style, I mean, it's got the black cement OG colour blocking, so it's a classic. This is my first pair of black cements, believe it or not, and they're usually sort of difficult to get in the UK. Yeah, during like 2018 I wasn't into sneakers as much, so I didn't pick up a pair of these, and I didn't even know they released, in all honesty, because I still like wearing sort of Air Maxes. But I'm glad to have this pair. I had like a used pair of the 2018s later on, but I just didn't like the way they felt and the way they were cut as well. They just had like a really sort of boxy look to them, and with this one, in particular, I think it looks a lot nicer on foot. And it's a good autumn-winter trainer, like I said earlier, because of the colourway. It's a classic, and normally I don't like wearing black trainers, but I think this has enough grey on it to kind of counteract that, and it's almost like a black toe type colour blocking as well, because you've got colour on the heel and also sort of on the forefoot. And also it has black laces, but you can also put in some red or grey laces as well, just to kind of change it up a bit, but I kind of like them with black. It just gives it a sleeker look, but I think sail would probably also work. So with the final thoughts, obviously it's got the OG, classic colourway, which I really like, and for me, normally, like I said, I'm not a fan of like black sneakers, but with this one I think they've done a good job on. And it's great for the winter, like I said, it's one of those sort of dark colourways that you know, it's perfect for this kind of weather, especially because they're more boot-like. And I just like the comfortability on Jordan 3s. Like I said with this one, the insole isn't perfect, but it still feels fine on foot and very nice. In terms of cons, the cost at £190, I just think they're just really sort of asking too much. And I think if it wasn't an OG colourway, I probably would pass. And like in most Jordans nowadays, I think only the sort of OG colourways, or unless it's something that I really like, that I would like buy at full price. However, a lot of them seem to be going on sale because they're not in demand, and then also I just don't feel like it's worth paying a lot of money for sneakers in all honesty. And I suppose, like for a lot of people, the elephant print and the inconsistencies, I've seen a lot of that online. I've got this particular pair in hand, and obviously maybe I'm lucky, but from what I can see is the quality's fine. And I feel like the cement print that's on here, the elephant print that's on here, it's not the darkest of colours, but it's still not like that bad. And I feel like over time this will just get darker because more with aging, in my opinion, and so therefore it will probably look quite similar to the OGs. So with the ratings, I'm going to give the look and style a 5 out of 5. I just really like them, and like I said, I'm not really a fan of like black sneakers, but the Jordan 3s are just really nice on foot. They're quite sort of simple, easy to wear, and they look cool as well. And people still turn their heads when you have a pair of these on. And the comfort, I'm going to give it a 4. I still think it's one of the most comfortable Jordan sneakers, and for that reason, I like wearing them personally. I think the only thing that I would personally change on them is because I like the low cut sneaker, is having a low cut version, but I don't know how that would look. But apart from that, they're awesome, especially for like the winter cold season. And the quality, I'm going to give it a 4. I think for me, it's more the quality control, I suppose, that people have had issues with, not me personally. But then also you can probably see there's quite a lot of creasing on the toe box. This is just brand new out of the box. I've not kind of worn them apart from doing the on foot, and that means they haven't sort of creased them. That's usually like worn them for like a minute. So, but I think it's because they've been sitting in the box like this, and usually with the other Jordan 3s that they've had, they had like some sort of cardboard on the back here and the heel tab, and that kind of pushes it up, so therefore your trainer's not going to be sitting on here as much, and also on the tongue area. So for me, they didn't do that with this particular pair. Obviously this is a mass produced sneaker, and like compared to the J Balvin's, for instance, and so you're going to get those kind of pairs really so you're going to get those kind of pairs with this type of situation because it's a massive GR. And the price, I'm going to give it a 4. Like I said, it's priced too high in my opinion. I think Jordans need to really come down in price, especially because they aren't selling. And this one especially sort of sat around for a while as well this morning. So I got mine in a shock drop. But however, it's one of these things that it's been sitting now as well, sort of in the UK and also probably in EU in a lot of sizes. And some of the sizes as of this afternoon have started to sell out. But overall, I'm still going to give it a 5 out of 5, and the reason for that is it's just a classic colourway. It's kind of like comparing an Air Max 1 or a really classic silhouette such as the Air Max Plus, and they're 5 out of 5 sneakers. No matter how much time goes by, they're iconic, and the look of them just never goes out of fashion really. And other sneakers come and go, but there seems to be some trainers that people sort of hold on to and really sort of regard in a high way, and the Jordan 3 is up there with the Jordan 4, and like I said, probably with the Air Maxes as well, and maybe even now the Nike Dunk as classic silhouettes. So you can't go wrong with a pair of these. It's simple and it works, so for that reason you can't really fuss too much about it.